This episode of Off My Shelf contains coarse language and adult conversation. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, my name is Tracy James and welcome to Off My Shelf, a podcast about movies that are, well, off my shelf, where we go through my DVDs, talk about the movies in my collection. In this episode, Austin Wong is here to talk about two comedies about animals in the wild with Madagascar and Mean Girls. Welcome!
Hello!
Thank you for coming back, and I know you were going to fight people if you didn't get to talk about Mean Girls, so I let you have this one. I let you have it.
Appreciate it. I didn't want to have him scratch anyone's eyes out.
Exactly. You can't be one of the girls gone wild like in Mean Girls, okay? Like, come on. I seem to have noticed that you have a thing for bitchy girl movies, so I find this very entertaining.
It's actually, didn't we also talk about Heathers? Because
we did.
Insisted that I have to do Heathers. Yeah. You know, I don't know what it is. I've just always had a soft spot for bitchy girl movies. I love them. I kind of love the bitchy girls because they're so funny. I don't know why I love these movies. I don't know. Maybe it's a sense of social order. Maybe it's just.
Well, I actually think a lot of them shine like a really good light on our society in this way, because like even watching Mean Girls, some of the stuff they say and some of the stuff they do, and I'm just like, I never picked up on that before, and that is horrible. Like, stuff like that. Like there's the part where they meet the teacher, Tina Fey's character, in the mall, and she's like, oh yeah, I gotta, for money, I gotta bartend a couple of weeks over here, and you're just like, you're a teacher who doesn't get paid enough and you gotta work outside of work. Oh my god, that's so sad.
Yeah, like that's the most tragic thing. I know.
And you're like, why doesn't our society properly honor teachers and pay them the money they deserve and stuff? But
that is very true. It's actually, you're right. Like there are things in there. There are subtle little comments about society that aren't given a lot of attention, but they're in there for sure. Yeah.
Well, because there's, I'm already going into this. I'm sorry. But yeah, there's also like the part where you go to like Regina's house and the mom's just like, you guys can do whatever you want. But the thing I find most telling about the household is the two scenes with the sister in the background, and she's watching like the milkshake video and emulating it. And at first I was like, that's not too bad. But then the next time it's the Girl Gone Wild video, and she's like pulling up her shirt in front of it because she's like, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm just like, no.
And no one is paying attention. I know that everything at the house, and the fact that Regina says, yeah, it used to be my parents and I made them switch. And it's just like she's ruling everything because even the mom is like looking up to Regina George.
Yeah. Well, because doesn't she say, she's like, I'm not a parent. I'm like your best friend. I'm the greatest parent ever. Because that's what she wants instead of like, raising a proper person. So,
well, that's why she's, it's sort of like her famous, I'm not a regular mom, I'm a cool mom.
Yeah.
If you really want to drink, I'd really rather you do it in the house. Like the whole over permissive, because like, what's the hot goss? What's the 411? And like all of the insults that she gets, she just love you guys so much. She doesn't care. Like she just wants to be part of it.
Yeah.
But it's funny because like, when I watched the movie, I wasn't a parent and I just thought it was a funny movie and I really liked it and I would quote it all the time. And then, as you know, like I got married and I had a kid and now my kid is 6, a 6-year-old daughter. And now when I watch it, it hits me a bit different because I'm now raising a daughter and it's not just a funny sort of movie now. Now it's like, I'm not going to get into any detail, but, I noticed that even when Maddie was in grade 1 or even kindergarten, there was mean girl activity. I hesitate to actually call it actual mean girl activity. Because they are very young and they're just learning to socialize in general. And we've just had a huge interruption with the pandemic. But like in kindergarten, just the natural order of kids playing and then fighting and then this and that. But I did notice a difference between the boys and the girls, right? The boys, like, from our parents' friends, but also from Maddie, like my daughter, the boys would kind of just punch each other or do things physically with each other. And then the girls would be like, let's exclude this person, or we're not talking to this person, or they would, it was very much more mind games. And that started in kindergarten. It sort of continues in grade 1. And so we're always sort of dealing with different little things. Like, it's not all like that. It's not like she's definitely enjoying school, but I see it, I hear it, I hear about it, and it's very real. I mean, if it's in grade 1, I know it's going to continue. And a lot of my female friends tell me it only gets worse in high school. So now when I watch it, it kind of makes me feel like, oh my God, where's my daughter going to fit into all of this? And so it's interesting, right? Like, it's quite truthful in a lot of ways. I know it's based in reality. It's based on that book about that nonfiction book about queen bees and wannabes.
Yes.
And Tina Fey turned it into a scripted movie. But I now actually, my husband actually ordered a copy of that book. Just because we want to know how to deal with it, and we want to make sure our daughter doesn't do it to others, and we want to know that if anyone were to do it to her, how we would handle it. And I did say to him, I feel a little prepared because I'm so well versed in the movie Mean Girls.
And Heathers, don't forget Heathers.
And Heathers, yeah. But, Heathers are so evil. They're killing each other. Like, I mean, it's so exaggerated. But, I mean, yeah, there are still lessons to be learned in Heathers. The godmother of all the bitchy high school clique movies.
No, on the DVD that I have for it, there's actually like a featurette, and they talk to the author of the book, and like she's got like a foundation, and she like has like seminars that she gives to parents and the kids, like separately, like parents, how to handle your kid, or how to handle your kid if they complain about being excluded and cliques and all that kind of stuff. And then the kids, you're just like, don't be assholes, little people, be nice to each other, like that kind of thing, which I thought was really interesting, because I actually did not know this. Like, I knew Tina Fey wrote the screenplay for it. I did not know it was based off of like a book that was written, and she's just like, I'm pulling stuff out of this to create this screenplay. I did not know that part. So I found it very interesting.
It's very interesting. And I love that Tina Fey was able to see, a nonfiction book that's to help parents and craft like what I think is a really good narrative out of it, and using a lot of the tropes in it to fill out her film.
Yeah, I think one of the things that makes it work is that, the main character just got back, and she's looking at the space like she's David Attenborough or something, and she's just like, like analyzing the animal kingdom and like figuring out, how to interact in certain ways, to do things right. And I was just like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And it's funny the way you say that too, because I love that with the premise of your podcast, it's just two random movies that happen to be next to each other on your shelf. But sometimes there's all these connections, and there really are a lot of connections between Madagascar and Mean Girls, just because like they are about animals in the wild a lot of the time. And like Mean Girls makes that explicit. But even the fact that she comes from Africa, and then the animals of Madagascar, I think in the sequel, they actually go to Africa.
Yes, they do. I mean, well, isn't technically Madagascar part of Africa? It's off like the East Coast.
You know what? I'm so bad at geography. I'm not going to commit onto tape anything about geography whatsoever.
I am also very bad at geography. I probably should not have said that out loud, but I'm going to leave it, and I'm going to let people know that I suck at geography. That is my worst category on Jeopardy every time.
I know, and people are always saying Africa's not even a country; it's a continent. And I'm like, I know. But then when you talk about places like Madagascar, I don't know what is it? Where is it? I don't. Let's go back to Mean Girls. Anyway,
yes. All I know is that it's a small island somewhere in water off of a continent. There you go. That's those are the, and there's lemurs there. There's actual lemurs there. So I know three things. Yeah.
Which my daughter actually loves. She loves lemurs.
Yeah. I met a lemur once his name was Larry, and he crawled on me. And the handler was like shocked. He's like, she's usually very skittish, and he just like crawled on my shoulder. And I was like,
that's adorable. Yeah. I love when you're chosen by animals.
It makes me happy. Yeah.
So the movie Mean Girls, I think I've probably watched it at least once a year ever since it came out in some form.
Yeah. Okay.
And I remember when we used to work together, I used to quote it so much, like all the time. And I remember when Tanya started sitting at the table with us, and she was just quoting them all the time too, and I just thought, oh my God, I love you. And it was funny because I started quoting it just all the time in my normal life. Like they would just come to me, and sometimes people would be like, what? Oh fuck, Mean Girls. And they would just So I've slowly sort of weaned it out of my day to day. But it's still very good. I feel like it really,
So I have a
of
question.
all the teen movies, I feel like it's really held up.
Oh, I absolutely agree. It is a little homophobic at times. Like it pushes hard on some of those things, which I was like, but like not in a, well, they're mean. So like you kind of expect it, but at the same time, I'm just like, really?
I kind of, yeah, but interestingly, the actor that plays Damien, who's too gay to function, he actually wasn't even out of the closet when he played that role, and it just he looked so comfortable, as a out gay student. But apparently, the actor didn't feel comfortable coming out until later, which I thought was really interesting.
Oh, he's an actor, so I probably shouldn't have just assumed, but maybe it's because I saw him on like different things after where I'm just like, because he always plays the things I've seen him in. I saw him, well, what show was it? He did a show with like the lady who plays Peggy Carter that didn't last very long, which I thought wasn't a bad show. But yeah, he was super gay in that. And then he did like a bit role in something I saw, and I was like, oh, it's the guy from Mean Girls. And yeah, he was super gay in that. So I'm just like, maybe you're gay. But maybe I also should just judge people,
Yeah, I know. I mean, that gets into a whole topic that about, should straight people be allowed to play gay characters? And of course, I think they should, because then are we saying that gay people aren't allowed to play straight characters? And that's not that's a false equivalency, actually, because of the dominance, and you need to have, anyway, there's a whole conversation.
Yes.
Really go into now. But I actually liked the portrayal of Damien and his friendship with, I want to say Lizzie because I know her actress name, but Janis Ian is actually the name of a famous, was it a singer or something? Like she was like
Janis Ian. I have no idea. Oh,
yeah. Just go real quick because I remember like she's named that for a reason. Like Janis Ian is a real name, and it's like she's a singer. I think she was like a '60s singer. I should have looked this up before. Yes, Janis Ian, American singer-songwriter. Most commercially successful in the 60s. Her signature songs are the 66-67 hit Society's Child and At 17.
I don't know those songs. I probably shouldn't say that because I love music. I got music in my head all the time. I always have music playing, but don't ask me to name most artists or titles of songs I won't know, but give me 3 notes of something and I'll be like, oh, I know this song. And
yeah. I usually can name artists, but I wasn't that familiar with her. But I thought it was really cool that they decided to name this character Janis Ian. She's still alive. Like she's not someone that died. So I think that's really fun. But I really liked their friendship because like I've had a lot of friends sort of like that kind of ballsy, sort of alt, confident, funny girl. Yeah. And they often do like to hang out with the gay guys. So that rang true for me.
So to be honest, they hang out with the gay guys because the gay guys are the only people who will put up with them, and not in like a negative way, like as in like they need to tone down so other people can put up with them. That's not what I mean. It's more along the lines of you're not girly enough for me to hang out with you, and girls will do that to them and boys will do that to them, right? Because boys know they're not getting anything, quote unquote, out of it, and girls are just like, you have to fit in. Like you got to be a plastic. Like you have to follow these girl rules or else you don't count. Right. And then they get excluded. So it's part of the whole thing.
But it's mutually beneficial too, right? Because like gay guys in high school don't always feel like they fit in certain groups either. I do remember like when I was in high school, like it's funny because I was obviously always gay, but I wasn't out of the closet, and I was very not out of the closet when I was in high school. But in hindsight, I was super gay. Like, I mean, it was very obvious. I would dance around to Madonna. I would sing Paula Abdul. Like, I was super, super gay. But it was like, it was almost like Peter Rowe was so innocent. They didn't have the vocabulary to say it to my face, or maybe because I was also the only Asian. Maybe they thought it was like an Asian thing. I don't know. But I mean, I was fortunate to evade getting gay bashed or outed or anything like that. I didn't have to deal with it. But I remember for years, I would just sort of sit, and where I ended up sitting in high school, a lot of my friends from grade school became football players, and I stayed friends with them. So I would sit at the football player table, but then I also fast track. So I was becoming friends with people in the grade above us, and I had a mix of classes with my original grade and then the grade I was sort of moving into. And when I was in the new classes, I was always talking to like these really fun artsy people that I loved, right? And they were the loud, fun, flamboyant like girls and some guys, and I thought they were great. And I remember I would sometimes sit at their table, and so I kind of was a bit of a floater. And I remember sometimes some of the girls would come over to where I was sitting, and when they would leave, some of these football guys were like, "How can you stand her? She's so loud." And I'd be like, "She's so funny. She's so nice." And it was exactly what you're saying, right? Because it's not the type of person that they. But then the funny thing is, I would see them talk to each other. Like I felt everybody was quite nice, I guess, in Peterborough in some ways. But yes, you're right. I
mean, it's one of those things where sometimes you are lucky enough to be in a place where, I don't know, how do I put this? Where the people just sort of mesh. And even if you don't get along or you don't fit together, they don't care. They're just like, they leave you to your business, you do your, I'll do my business. And that's the kind of thing I like. But like, because I don't think you have to like everybody. I don't think you have to get along with everybody. That is just impossible to do.
It's not a normal expectation either. And I say that to my daughter all the time. I said, you don't have to be friends with everybody. You don't have to like everybody, but you have to be kind to everybody.
Yeah.
Like you can't be mean to anybody.
Yeah. Like don't go, like I find there are so many people out there go out of their way to be mean to people. Absolutely. And for no reason.
Well, the reason is that they think it will make them feel better. Or they feel it will give them some sort of social capital, or, there's a lot of shitty reasons why people are mean to other people. And it's none of which are good. And so I feel like, hopefully that backfires on people eventually. But I
hope so too. Yeah. Because I feel like, or at least I try to reciprocate the behavior that is given to me. Right. Which most of the time, if I'm with my friends or if I'm with people that I like, is relatively positive. It's a lot of fun. If I'm meeting new people, if you're shy, I'm going to be shy. And if you're a dick, I'm going to be a dick. Like, that's just how it works. Right.
You absorb the energy. That's funny.
Yeah. And like, if somebody's shitty to me, I'm going to be shitty to them. And, but I try my best never to start the shittiness.
Right.
Like, that is just my goal. Don't be the first shitty person. I think that's a pretty decent goal.
Yeah, no, I mean, at a minimum, it's like you're not adding to the shit. You're not creating the shit. Yeah.
But I mean, I think some of that comes from me, I can handle shitty people and not be shitty depending on the day. But I think that comes from working in retail for a long time, and you have to just work with so many different people and so many different attitudes and so many different demeanors just walking in the door. Before you even say a word, you're just like, that person's gonna yell at me. This is gonna be fun.
You can tell.
And you have to just smile and nod,
Yeah.
But then there are days where all your favorite customers come in and you guys laugh and talk about books and talk about whatever, and then everything's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, I do feel like, the world does train us though, that even if we don't like people, it's never really socially acceptable to tell them that or to act in a way that lets people know that. Mm-hmm. You kind of do just have to get along just to function in society.
You do. Yes. Yeah.
And that's true of school. It's true of work. It's true of basically everything. Right. And that's where I feel like when you have good friends, you chose them because you don't think they're shitty people. But obviously sometimes if you're unhappy with people or there's tensions, at least you're strong enough that you can talk it out and you can, because you need to be able to talk about things.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like having a friend group that you can be happy with and sad with or mad at without destroying the group is very important. Because because keeping all that stuff in just creates animosity and frustration and will just blow up and ruin everything anyway. So get it out early.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I also tell Maddie too that I feel like it's important for her to have more than one, like obviously she has a lot more than one friend, but I feel like it's good to have different friend groups, right? Because different friend groups will have different dynamics, different bring different things out of you, give you different things as well. And it's just nice to have a variety. And like, I feel like that's true for everybody too, actually, because it makes you, I think, a better or a more well-rounded person.
Agreed. Yeah. Well, that's why they encourage people to do things like travel, see the world from a different perspective, meet people you would never meet if you are at home. Because like, if you sit at home and you sit in your little corner and you have TV and you have things, you're like, and you have everything you need, you're like, the world is perfect. I don't understand what people are complaining about. But that's because you're in a position where your world is perfect for you.
That's actually a really good segue for Madagascar, because that's how the movie starts.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I think that's one of the things I like about Madagascar. I also think the way the stories on both sides work out, it's the exact same storyline if you think about it.
Yeah, it really kind of is in reverse, because she kind of... I
disagree. I don't think it's reverse. I think it's the exact same.
You think?
Because I think high school is the wild. I think her becoming a plastic is like Ben Stiller wanting steak, right? Yeah. Then finally biting people on the ass and it's just like, oh shit, what did I do?
Yeah.
And then afterwards they find a solution to make it better.
Yeah. No, you're right about the story. I just sort of meant in reverse, just from the very surface level of Katie moves from Africa and goes into civilization, and the animals move from civilization and go into the wild. Just as a premise, the reverse. Mm-hmm. But the actual story, I agree, is very, very similar. Yeah. But like what you were saying is like some people, they never want to get out of their head, or they just want to stay at home and they're happy and everything. That's literally, like I was taking notes when I was watching Madagascar again, just for this podcast, that I kind of thought it was interesting because that Alex literally says, it doesn't get any better than this. This is great. And he's super happy. He's excited to be in the zoo. He's excited to see his fans. He's excited to sleep in the same space every day. He's excited for the same meals. It's literally what he's like. He just is happy with his life. He doesn't even want to see the world. He's literally in a cage. Yeah. And he doesn't have any interest. But what I thought when I was watching it is, you know, he doesn't really have it wrong in a way, right? I mean, if your insularity causes you to be prejudicial to people and not nice to people, and it really shrinks your worldview to the point where you're not really able to function as properly. I think that is a problem. But I mean, in his case, like the world kept coming to him. He seemed to know a lot about New York, and he was always meeting people. He just seemed very content in his job, basically. He was happy with what he had. And I actually remember thinking when I was watching this, that I know that he's going to get shaken out of this because I know where the movie goes, but I thought, you know, there's not enough movies, and it would be an interesting movie that really celebrate the fact that really true happiness comes from finding satisfaction in what you have instead of constantly wishing and thirsting for what you don't have, because that's literally a fool's game. Like, you'll never have everything, right? No matter what you get, if you're always nursing the things, like the grass is always greener, if you're always thinking what we don't have, you know, people run the risk of never being happy. Like, there's really rich people that are never happy because they just want more and more and more and more and more. I think a really good lesson for people sometimes is just take stock of what you have and appreciate what you have. And then that's the same for marriage and relationships, right? Like, a lot of people, they just like, they have a great relationship, but they want more and more and more, and then everything. But then other people, like, if they actually work on, like, they're happy with what they have, it actually is good for them.
Yeah. But I agree with you. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with having ambition or anything, but there are definitely people out there, like all the like Debbie Downers, I like to call them. Yeah. Thank you, SNL, for that name. But yeah, no, there's the people who always find the bad in any situation they're in. So they're sad and they're depressed constantly, and talking to them is a chore because they're just complaining all the time. But you're just like, it's a lovely day. We're having steak at a barbecue. We have drinks. Your friends are around. You have a job. You have a home to go to. Like, everything is nice. Like, at least be happy today. That would be awesome. Yeah. And like, I know there's like mental illnesses and all that kind of stuff. Like, we all have those days where we just don't care. I'm sad and depressed and everything is horrible. I get it. But there's not to be that every day or all of the time.
And if you are every day, then that's probably meaning that you're depressed and you probably get professional help.
Yes, agreed. Agreed.
In the movie, I think it's interesting that so Marty, the zebra, he longs to be in the wild again because of that mural, and he actually is not satisfied with his job at the zoo because he's like, it's the same old thing every day. Like, I feel like I'm wasting my life. It's like every day is going to be like this. And I thought it was an interesting conversation just because I'm really reading adult themes into this children's cartoon, but I think it's actually rich enough that you can do that because it's, you know, it's kind of Alex the lion. I think it's a legitimately, genuinely good point of view to be happy with what you have. But then Marty also at the same time, he is not satisfied. He is not satisfied with his job. He is not happy with what he's doing. And so he's also right to want more if he doesn't like it. It's just fortunate that Alex actually likes it. But if you don't like it, you can't force yourself to like it necessarily.
Agreed.
So I did like that there were both plots that were both kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Well, one thing I do like about this movie, and like, I know, again, adult themes and into a cartoon, but I think most cartoons are made that way purposefully, so parents taking their kids to see these things will not want to rip all their eyes out and everything.
Yeah.
But like the four main characters are full-fledged characters. Like, they have depth and they grow and they change and they understand things and they understand the world around them. You know, they understand their place in the world, and I think that's why they keep trying to talk Marty not into leaving, because they know if they leave, they'll upset the people, and then they'll upset their whole way of life. Like, it trickles down, you know. Yeah.
And they were right to be afraid.
They were, yeah, because as soon as they got out, then boom, they were shipped out. They're like, well, we can't be in here anymore. Yeah. And it's true, like, no, animals shouldn't be in zoos, but you also can't have wild animals like that in a city. It's dangerous, you know, not just for them, but for people as well.
But that's why it's funny, because you can talk about whether it's right or wrong for what they want, just metaphorically and as characters, like they're talking characters that aren't in the real world. Mm-hmm. But then you can talk literally because they are animals in the zoo and they shouldn't actually be zoo animals outside. So like there's different levels at which you can discuss whether it's appropriate. But it's funny too, because I also like the fact that it was so New York-y, because I love New York. Yeah. I love New York. And I just love that they kept putting, you know, little details in there to sort of really hammer home that these are New Yorker animals. And like I wrote down some of the conversations I thought were funny, like when they broke out and they were trying to figure out how to find Marty, who they think probably went to Union Station, and then it's like Alex goes no, the Melman of Giraffe goes, we should take Lexington, and then Alex goes, we should take Park, and then Melman goes, no, Park goes two ways, you can't time the lights. I thought that was so funny. It sounds like a writer that lives in New York literally has had this conversation about traffic in New York.
They were in a cab yelling at the cab driver, don't go that way, go the other way. Yes.
Yeah. And just little things like, you know, this is the fun side, this is the bad side. You're on the cesspool Jersey side, which is like a thing that a New Yorker would probably say. I don't know. But then I also liked that, just on the tip where you're saying, you know, like they make them for adults too. Like all cartoons these days, like there's a layer for adults, right? But I love that there's like all these sly little, I think, political commentaries. Like, so the zebra, who's voiced by Chris Rock, so it's a black actor, when he's like wandering the streets of New York, a cop looks at him walking away, and the cop is on the CB. He goes, I see the zebra. Can I shoot it? Which is, you know, pretty disturbing. It's a cop looking essentially at a black character. He's like, I want to shoot it, right? Yes. And that is like something that became super timely.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is like, I didn't even pick out that scene that way. I just picked it out, not even that it was a black person, but the fact that the cops on the street is trigger happy, right? They're like, I just want to shoot something. Yeah. That's what I got out of it. And I was just like, that like, they're both very disturbing. And you're just like, well, in one way, is he racist? Maybe. But also in another way, does he just want to kill things? That's also very scary.
I think it is probably just that he wants to kill things, but I bet the writers and everything, I don't think it's a coincidence. I bet it is sort of in there. Like, it's a coincidence matter.
Yeah.
And the fact that later on, like the zebra says, I never knew if I was white with black stripes or black with white stripes. And then, you know, they say you're black, right? Like,
no, but didn't he? No, I thought he said like, so Alex said when he was pretending to count his things, he's just like, and 23. So you're more white than black. Isn't that what he said?
I thought it was the other way around. Anyway, I don't remember.
I'll have to look it up again now. Okay.
Yeah. But I had one other thing that was funny. Oh, this is the other sort of, I thought, social issue, subtle dig. So when they were being transferred to, like, they think they're being transferred to another zoo on the ship, and they're all arguing in crates. And then, and he goes, oh, we're probably going to San Diego Zoo. And then Melman's first concern, because he's a hypochondriac, is, we can't go to another zoo. No other zoo can afford my medical care, which is like, I think that's hilarious.
He made a comment about his HMO, yeah.
Talking about the sort state of the American health system. Which
I know, it was actually pretty poignant, a lot of the comments they were making in here.
It's better than I thought. I remember, because I remember watching it with Maddie, my daughter, again. Sorry, like, it's so funny. Both of these movies relate to my daughter, or maybe everything does now. But like Mean Girls relates because I see it in real life, and like I'm starting to worry about it in real life. And Madagascar, just because I watched this movie with Maddie a lot. She actually liked it when she was younger because of the animal. It's fun, and we used to watch it all the time. But now, just watching it for this, I just picked up on a lot of things that I didn't really notice when I was sort of half watching before.
I just thought of something. I don't know why I didn't pick up on this, but also this is on topic right now because Jada voices the hippo and Chris Rock voices the zebra. Oh my God. Yes. Lots of things in here.
Hilarious. And like, they're such good friends in the movie. So like, yeah. That's true. I mean, it's funny how things come around if you look back at what they've done together. But so I picked up on two other things that I thought really, and these are not sly at all. These are very obvious in your face, but I still appreciated them. Like when Alex builds that sort of makeshift Statue of Liberty out of trees and coconuts to try to attract people, and then Melman actually burns it to the ground, and then it's sort of a half Statue of Liberty coming out of the sand, and then he goes, darn you all to heck. I thought that was so funny because it's like, I love that they were referencing Planet of the Apes and like recreating that scene, and the kids don't know.
I actually, at that point, I started writing down the movie references within this movie, and I was from that point on, I only found 6. But there was definitely a Zoolander one before that, so I noted that as well. So I found 7 references, because then he yells at Spalding, the basketball, instead of Wilson, the volleyball. So that's a Castaway reference. There's Planet of the Apes. Then he shows they show a book, how to cook apes or whatever.
Oh, no. To serve lemur.
That's I think that's from the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, but that's not that's a famous episode of Twilight Zone.
Then there was American Beauty, of course, when there's the part where all the stakes are falling around him and stuff. Then they do Born Free, which was a famous documentary and a musical piece and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then, of course, another TV thing was they did the music of the Wild Kingdom when they're like running in the field. So those are the references I got.
That's good. That's more than I got. That's good. I thought, I mean, it's a very well done movie because there's a lot of stuff in there for grown-ups, for adults. Grown-ups, that's like the kid word.
I'm not a grown-up, thank you very much.
But I also thought it was fun that it was fairly dark, right? Like the fact that, because I remember thinking when I was watching this, it is sort of funny that like the lion is friends with everybody, because in cartoons they're all friendly. They ignore the fact that the lion is the apex predator and really would eat all these other friends. Like it's been a while since I watched it, and I thought I forgot that that's the whole plot point really for the climax, that he actually could eat all of his friends.
Yeah.
When he's eating all the steaks. And it's like, all these animals are essentially steaks. And I thought, they'll probably never go there. And they totally went there and they all look like steaks. I thought that was really funny. And I remember wondering, did Maddie pick up on the fact that this one character wants to eat all of his friends? It's pretty disturbing. I don't remember her ever reacting to this, but maybe it's just funny. I don't know.
I think when you're very young, I don't think that's something you're going to pick up on. You're going to be like, oh, look, food. Like, that's all you're going to think. But even while I was watching now, I was like, oh no, that is not a good thing, because this is something I always question when watching a lot of these animated movies where your characters are animals, and like especially like what is it, Zootopia and stuff like that, where you have cities that has a predator section and like a herbivore section, like they have the two separate sections. But I'm just like, but what are the carnivores eating was always my question. But then even watching this, at the end of the movie, they end up giving Alex sushi, but in a world where the animals can talk and move and they're sentient and like, where does that stop? Like, aren't the fish being like, don't eat me? Because, you know, when Marty shows up, he's riding on the back of a dolphin. I know they're technically mammals, but they're still in the water. They're still, you know. It's...
You know, I had the same thought, because I was kind of like, you know, I guess they had to solve the problem. Now that he realizes he's a carnivore and he technically would eat all of his friends, but they don't. They need to do several sequels. Like, you know, what do they do to solve the problem? And they serve them fish, and they never animate the fish. But I did think, was this fish a talking, singing fish before it was on this plate? Or in this world, do fish they're not sentient? Like, I don't know. I guess we just have to leave that alone.
We have to walk away from it. That's just what it is.
It's too disturbing. But you know, there's a level of brutality in the movie that they weren't afraid to show. Like that one sequence where after Alex kind of ran off because he tried to eat Marty, but then the remaining three animals are walking through the jungle. There's that montage of all the cute animals getting eaten by other animals. And then Melvin tries to save this cute little duckling and puts it in the water, and then a crocodile eats the duckling.
Yeah.
I thought, like, I don't feel like Disney would have done that like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Like they would have.
No, I think that's something like I find right now, a lot of companies are not afraid to go in darker places, but they're also very afraid to show the brutality of things, which was not an issue when we were growing up, for sure.
No.
Yeah, because there's like, sometimes I watch things, I'm like, how come there's not a joke there? Because there definitely should have been a joke there. What's going on? Then I think about it, I'm like, yeah, no, the kids today can't handle that. That's fine.
I know. A lot of things that we watched growing up, you couldn't probably do now. I remember somebody said, somebody actually said they didn't think they could do Mean Girls now, but I think you could. Mean Girls is actually I think you could do it now.
Well, definitely a lot of things would have to change, but to be honest, I think Mean Girls is Euphoria right now. So
Euphoria is so dark, though.
It's so dark. Yeah,
Euphoria is like, I can't even. I haven't watched it. I tried to watch it. I watched a couple of episodes, and I started thinking, is literally every kid in here, when we focus, they're going to do something terrible and make a terrible decision and do something really bad and really dangerous? And the answer is yes. They're all. They're all like, and I can't believe that is at all remotely close to the truth. You know,
no, only that the sister didn't. The one girl, played by oh my God, what's her? The one who put on the play.
I didn't. I've hardly.
Oh, you haven't watched it. Sorry. Yes. The Apatow daughter. I don't remember what her name is.
Okay. Yeah. I know there's an Apatow.
Anyways. But she is the only character so far who has not actually done anything wrong. Yes, she wrote a play about her friends and all that kind of stuff, put it on. Very excited. But she technically has done anything wrong except sort of fall in love with a gangbanger. A drug dealer, really. But She hasn't done anything wrong. And I'm very happy you have one person to just root for and be like, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, you need one person to root for.
But yeah, I've gone too far into the show and I can't stop watching it. But every time I watch an episode, I want to curl up in a ball in a corner. And I'm just like, I don't understand. I can't do this. Why are you breaking my heart like this? There's so much, like just so much in every single episode. Like it's heart-wrenching. Yes.
I can't do it right now, but I watched Heartstopper and it's so sweet. I feel like I haven't watched much of Euphoria, but it feels like the opposite of Euphoria.
Okay. Which one's Heartstopper? I don't know that one.
It's like the gay romance and it's become really popular. It's like British.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You need to go watch it. It's super sweet. It will reaffirm your belief in humanity because it's.
Okay. Because I've been looking for lighter things to watch because I find even with like comedies and stuff, like everything is just so heavy or turns like such a dark corner that you're just like, I just want to laugh, or I just want to smile, or I just want to have like a good day, and you're ruining it with your good storytelling and your evil people, like,
and your heart-wrenching plots and your tragic characters. Well, this is why there's comfort movies and comfort television, and this is why, like, I mean, I can't stop watching Mean Girls. Like, I can quote the entire movie from front to back. I could do a little presentation of it, but it's just, I just find it so comforting, even though there are things I guess, probably could change. But I do think at the end of the day, it's a fairly good message. And how we were saying, like, I want Maddie to have more than one group of friends. It's good to have different friend groups. And, Mean Girls really at the beginning, like, everybody is very siloed into their group, right? Like cool Asians and freaks and plastics and jocks and whatever else. And but at the end of the movie, it's all mixed up. And they make a point of, one of them joined the jock girls who weren't afraid, and one went to the cool Asians, but then there's scenes of them braiding each other's hair, and all the groups are together, like mixed up. And to me, I thought that was a really great ending, because it's actually true. I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah, I think it's just like, I think that's the thing that's so positive about this movie, that even though the movie starts with, cliques and bullying and all this kind of stuff, and it does take a dark turn when the burn book is like thrown out there and you hear all the horrible things that have been said about you and your friends and all that kind of stuff.
Which I thought was so funny though, but
but it did take Regina getting hit by a bus to make this change.
Yes.
But at the same time, you can, like, everybody just seemed happier, not having to have this like false persona out there that they have to maintain all the time, or else they lose face in whatever group they're in. Yeah. And then you're in trouble, And
like, I feel like this one sequence goes on a little too long, except for I do like when like the group therapy session, but I do like, there are some really good moments in it where she goes, well, I can't help it if I have a heavy flow and an extra wide vagina. And he's like,
not doing it. Mm-hmm. And I understood that.
She doesn't even go here. I just have a lot of feelings. Go home. And actually, I went to see the Mean Girls musical in New York.
Yeah.
And I got a hoodie that on the front it says, she doesn't even go here.
Was it a Wednesday? Was it pink?
Oh, no, it's gray. But, one of Maddie's first shirts was a pink shirt that says, on Wednesdays we wear pink. And every Wednesday, I would make her wear it. Yeah, I was that dad. And
you can only wear it on Wednesday. Well, no, technically, you can wear it any day.
No.
Just people know on Wednesdays you wear pink.
You really can't. You have to wear it on Wednesday. For a while, I was actually wearing pink on Wednesdays, just as a fun thing, and wondering if anyone would notice.
I think we did notice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We're on to you and your tricks.
But yeah, I feel like I do want to show that movie to Maddie at some point, because I do think it's actually a pretty good lesson. But
yeah. I like too, they go to the point where, like, with Katie and how she's like, she likes this boy, and she's like, the only way to talk to him is for me to be stupid so I can ask him questions.
Yes.
And I thought that was like a good thing to bring up in there, because a lot of girls do that. Like, a lot of them do. They're just like, I just have to pretend I'm helpless and I can't do anything. And then boys will like me because they'll want to help me and teach me things and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but you can be smart.
Yeah.
And also be attractive. Because you're smart, you have things to say those things to that person. Like, you don't have to dumb yourself down. And if the person needs you to be dumb for them to like you, that is not the person for you.
Yeah, that's very important. I want Maddie to know that. Like, she should always never be less than she is to impress anyone. But the other side of that coin is we should stop coddling men that they need to feel superior. Like, we have to stop trying to, like, feed into the male ego, which only leads to toxic masculinity, right? Like, why can't he be less good at math than the girl and still like the girl? Why does he have to feel superior to the woman in order to like her? And that's why girls do it.
Yeah. But one thing I liked about the character in the movie as well is that, you know, when he found out about this, he's just like, that's stupid. Why would you do that? You're allowed to be good at math. And I was like, okay, good. At least he's not, they didn't make him like a stupid jock boy, you know, who is fragile about his, you know, his status and he's got to be better than the girl at things. He was just like, be you. And that's what I want. Like,
yeah, he was really great about it. He was really good about it. And I feel like, I feel like there's a lot of good lessons in there too. Like, I mean, you know, it's a little on the nose, but it's still good. Like when she's, you know, gone to the mathletes competition when the prom's going on. And then she says that speech, like, making fun of Gretchen wouldn't make me win this competition, you know?
True. Yeah. You have to know your shit, but her having bad lipstick is not going to make a difference.
No, or looking at her snaggletooth is not going to make her feel like, it doesn't make you better. Like that whole lesson is like, putting somebody else doesn't make you better, doesn't make you smarter, doesn't make you, which is the lesson, right? And I think it's a good lesson.
It's a very good lesson. Yeah. And I'm glad at the end of the movie, they made sure that she was back to being smart again. And, you know, like, yeah, it's pretty stereotypical that they won because she's smart now. But at the same time, I was just like, good. She's not actually stupid. It's great.
Yeah. And I like that she made up with her friends. I like that the friends that were so close, they even tried kissing once and then they said, nah. And,
like, you know,
I thought that even those minor characters, they had kind of interesting little arcs.
They did. And which I really enjoyed.
And even the interracial stuff, right? It was a very diverse cast.
It was, but well, that's one of the things I was looking at when I was watching this. I'm like, they're super inclusive in this movie and the cast and like the high school kids and stuff. Yeah. Because, you know, they had like the overweight kid, they had a kid in a wheelchair, they had a little person, they had, you know, of course, Black people and Asian people and whatever, you know. Is Lizzie Kaplan actually Lebanese? Because her character's Lebanese at the end. And I was just like,
I know.
There's a Lebanese person here.
I know, I love that too. This is great. And it didn't seem forced at all. And this is like well before we were all trying to be so diverse, right? Mean Girls predates like the current vogue for diversity, which, you know, I hate saying that because I want diversity to be a real thing forever and ever and ever. But there's no denying that it's become more topical lately.
Yes. But also one thing Mean Girls didn't do was make each person overly stereotypical. If you know what I mean. Like Kevin G, for example. He's like the math dork and he's Asian, but they didn't they did not have him have an accent, which is something they would do now. Because like they're like, no, you have to know he's like Indian or whatever. Like
I was literally going to bring up Kevin G as well, because I love that he's like the nerd, the mathlete, but he's a rapper too. And like he says like like his rap is hilarious and he rips off his shirt and goes, how do you like me now?
I love that part. I love it. Yeah.
I thought that was so funny. And he's so confident, right? Yeah. He doesn't care that he's a nerd.
No, exactly. And but that's what, to me, like what was really weird watching this right now, because I was just like, I thought Kevin G was like worse looking. He's not that bad looking. I don't understand why they're rejecting this boy.
Well, it's because he's a mathlete, right? Social suicide. But he actually is very confident, and he's rapping, and he's, you know, got stuff going on. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's great the way they handle those characters.
Yeah. And like the girl in the wheelchair, they didn't make her character the girl in the wheelchair. They're like, she's the Hispanic girl who just happens to roll around in a wheelchair.
But she's also mean, right? You don't hate you because what does she say? I hate you because, like, whatever it says. Like, she's really mean to her friend.
What is it?
Oh my God, I'm so ashamed of myself right now.
It's something about being fat and I hate you.
You're not fat because I don't hate you because.
Oh, I don't hate you because you're fat. You're fat because I hate you.
Yeah.
There you go. We did it.
We did it. We got there.
Took a second. I just love that about the movie. Like they didn't. Yes, the whole point of the beginning of the movie is to put people in cliques and all that kind of stuff, but they also didn't actually pigeonhole any of the people in the movie.
No. And the fact is, it is true. There are cliques. That does happen, right? But I think that they did a good job of showing how it can stop. I mean, the one thing I don't know how they would handle is like the coach having sex with the girls, and it was kind of dealt comedically. I feel like, post Me Too, and we're taking it much more seriously. I don't know if that would be there for a laugh anymore.
Well, they said he fled school grounds, so I'm assuming they found him at home when he was arrested, because that's a thing that would happen. But yeah, I think now that would have definitely been taken out. Anything to do with like a teacher and a student. Yeah. Well, I don't know. They have whole shows about teachers and students getting it on now.
That's true. I don't know. Who's to say? But like, and the Asian characters talking like in Korean to each other. I love that. Like they're in the school, but they're not just talking English. I remember I got a big laugh when they were all, when that moment where all the cliques are fighting amongst each other. And one of them says, "Oh, because he thinks I'm prettier." And then the other girl in Korean, it says, "N, please." Right? Yeah. Like, I don't want to say the word.
Oh yeah. But, well, they don't even write the word on the screen. It's like starred out. I was like,
yeah. I wonder if they would do that now, though. I mean, it's sort of funny just to have, I don't know why it's funny. Just like, I guess it's so streety urban, and the subtitle is funny. But I feel like they wouldn't do that now, because like that word is so off limits, and like.
But I also think part of the comedy and part of the social commentary on that scene is the fact that if she was speaking English and everybody could understand her, there's no way she would have said it, because everybody had been like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Right. But the fact is, if you're speaking a different language and you're in a place where other people can't hear you, that could be offended by the word, and you're talking to your friend who knows you're going to say it, they're going to say it because you just don't know.
That's true. So many layers to this brilliant, perfect movie.
I mean, like, but it's true. Like, I actually think it's just such like it's a pretty succinct, well put together story about like, the life of a teenager. That's not, yes, it's a little bit exaggerated, but I don't actually think for that time period it was ridiculous.
No, I don't think of that at all. And I think the fact that, the mean girl like Regina and, hating life in the plastics was better than not being in the plastics at all, because people knew stuff about you, and everybody I like that they tap into why people are willing to put up with this, right? Like what they get out of it. And when she says the strange, like when they're trying to be mean to Regina, like the meaner Regina was to Gretchen, the more Gretchen tried to please her. And then it was like, even though I hated her, I still wanted her to like me, right? Like those things I think are very true. Like you can really look up to someone, and even though you don't like them as a person, but you still want them to like you. Yeah. And I think they did a very good job of that. And I also think Regina George isn't really that bad. Like I feel like she is mean. She does some mean things, like she like stealing the boyfriend back, but she's not as bad as the Heathers at all.
Oh no. And she's not still trying to actively murder anybody. So that's
no, and she's also like, although Heathers didn't try to murder people, they were murdered. They were just really mean to people. But like, Regina's even like, helping them look better with their makeup. She's just really self-centered
and controlling.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I think that's the biggest problem with Regina, is the fact that it's not that she's actively mean, but if you want something she thinks you shouldn't want, she will destroy you, making sure you don't get that.
You're right. Yeah, she is mean because she's controlling, and that is what I'm seeing playing out in the playground sometimes. All the little girls are trying to like control the other girls. And that's not nice. So you're right. Like but it's a more realistic mean. It's not a movie mean in a way.
Exactly. Yeah. Like they're not, like they're not trying to hit you with a car every day or something.
Right.
Like, no, how girls do it, like they say, is like, we just destroy your souls.
Yeah.
We kill you from the inside out, compared to the like how boys do, which is the outside in.
Yeah. Like that whole Gretchen thing, like you don't even know how mean she really is. 1 year my parents got me these really beautiful hoop earrings, and they were really expensive. But Regina said that hoop earrings were her thing, so I wasn't allowed to wear them. So I had to tell my parents I didn't like them, and it was so sad. And I think it's so funny, right? But then at the end of the movie, when Gretchen is talking to her new clique, she's wearing hoop earrings.
Yeah.
Which is so nice.
But also, like, that story makes you understand why Gretchen gets so angry when she tries to sit at the table not wearing the right thing.
Yes.
Because I'm like, if I did that, you would torture me.
Yeah.
Okay. I would not be allowed to sit here. So how come you get to break the rules and I can't break the rules?
And it was because the Regina rules are for everybody except for her, right? She just wants to control everybody.
Exactly. So, but and that is like we keep saying, that is a proper representation of people in our world. We've all met people like that. We've all been in rooms with people like that, so you're sitting there watching this and you're just like, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's about right. That sounds good.
It's absolutely true. Yeah.
I've never met anybody quite as stupid as the other girl, though. But yeah.
Oh, you mean the one that has ESPN or something?
It's like my boobs can tell when it's going to rain. Well, actually, it can tell when it's raining.
Yeah, I know. She thinks I'm really dumb. You're not dumb. I am actually. No, surely you must have something that you can do. I can put my whole fist in my mouth. Want to see? No.
Stupid so well.
It's so funny.
One thing I've always found very interesting is that if you watch like TV shows and movies, so like even like Hillary in Fresh Prince or like Luke in Modern Family, and things like that. And also, why am I forgetting her name right now? What is her name? Who plays the stupid one?
In what show?
Sorry, Amanda Seyfried in this movie.
On this movie.
Yeah, they are usually the smartest people in the show. Like the guy who plays Luke in Modern Family, he's part of Mensa. Like, right. That kid's like a genius,
Same with Sharon Stone, right? Sharon Stone was in Mensa. Like, it's
like, and I find like I think maybe their genius understands stupidity on a different level, so they can portray it so well. Like they get it out there. They know.
Well, she does a good job with it. It's so funny. Yeah, but I feel like, I think she actually auditioned for a different role. I think she was auditioning for Regina and then she ended up getting that other one. But I don't know if it was the best showcase for her because I thought she was so good at it, but I didn't think she had as much range as I ended up seeing because I've seen her in so many other movies now, Amanda Seyfried, and she's got so much range.
She does. She's a great actress. I think she's fantastic.
She's great. Yeah.
But she has definitely put out there like that wide-eyed vacant stare. She's got it down packed. Yeah.
Yeah, no, she does.
We've all seen it. I actually think too, like, despite the fact I think Regina's wig is horrible, it frustrates me. But I think it's supposed to just look over fried and everything because she clearly bleaches her hair and stuff.
Yeah.
I think this movie's like perfectly cast. Like
it's really
perfectly cast.
It's perfectly cast. I completely agree. Even like every single character, even the teachers, like even
teachers are fantastic.
Like, all the other teachers, like, and you know what I read too? Like they made a point of making sure that the extras made the school seem real. So there were always like kids you'd seen before in different classrooms in the cafeteria and at the prom, and like kids that you noticed wearing different things, and like so it felt like a real school. It didn't feel like just every time was a different cast of extras, like random extras. They really made it so that there were people that it felt like you were actually getting to know the people in the school, just visually even, which I don't think it always happens.
No, I find in a lot of movies you kind of get disconnected from it because even though you go to the same spaces, there aren't either the spaces seem empty or it's always new and you're just like, well, but if they're in the same place, shouldn't it have the same people? Like, isn't that how that's supposed to work? Like you're going to work every day. Why aren't you passing the same person's desk? How come there's always different people around you?
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I really think it was such a well done movie, and I think it persists in the general public's imagination for a reason. Like I think it's really, not just funny, but it's very truthful in a lot of ways, and it's just so well done.
It talks about an experience that whether we were inside of it or outside of it, all of us have experienced it in some way. So like we know about the cliques, we know about the bitchy girl, we know about the nice new girl, we know about like, you know, the goth kid who's angry in the background and all this kind of stuff. Like we all know those people or have interacted with those people, have to figure it out. And even with the changing of technologies and how people interact with each other, that's right until, you know, they genetically put like chips in our brains to actually alter our personalities completely so we all get along. I don't think the idea is going to change.
Well, the interesting thing is, like, I feel like, I mean, that came out before social media was a huge thing, right? Like, so
Correct.
The Burn book is very, it's very antiquated, right? Like cutting and pasting pictures in a physical book, right? I feel like if Mean Girls was to be written now, it'd be about like bullying on social media and all that. It'd be
Twitter. That like that Burn book is just Twitter. It's asshole Twitter. That's what it is.
Or it's like, you know, I mean, I'm sure that Snapchat and Twitter and TikTok, like the popular girl maybe would be an influencer now or something. And like, they would have to change it because like, and a lot of kids, instead of hanging out at malls, because like malls are dead, right? They would be at home just chatting with each other all the time. Like it might be less interesting. I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting to see how, you know, it has dated. Like it's an old movie now.
Well, yeah, a lot of the story would be digital. They definitely have to figure out how are we bullying people now, and you know, it won't be Facebook. It'd be like Instagram or something.
Does Euphoria have bullying? I haven't watched enough of it to know.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And is it just
definitely online? There's definitely online stuff, as well as like it's not just bullying, but it's also like getting into like the wrong thing online, you know, like one girl starts making money because some guy asked to just talk to her, and then she gets like scandalous online, right? So she has money to spend and stuff, right? And they do talk about like online bullying, they talk about like texting and all this kind of stuff, but it's not the same kind of like behind the back stuff that happens in Mean Girls. Like I find everything in Euphoria is just very front facing. You're just like, I'm gonna be mean to you now. Here's my meanness. Right. Done. You know.
Well, I mean, one of my favorite scenes in Mean Girls is the three-way call attack.
Yeah.
But that would not happen now, right? With call waiting or whatever. And
no, it'd be a group text and then a single person text, and then they screenshot that and send it in the group text.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. But it's funny the way it plays out in a thing. And when she thinks, oh, she's so annoying, it's still me. Oh, sorry, hold on. Oh, she's so annoying.
It's so perfect.
Get rid of her. Aggression's on my nerves. She's on my last nerve. Okay. And then she goes back. She doesn't want Regina's saying no one's going to vote for you because you're such a slut. I think you had a right to know. I love the way it all unfolds. And that she's like, I can't go out. Why not? I'm sick.
Boo whore. Also, I know that's the meanest line, but also my favorite line in the whole movie. Boo hoo whore.
Boo whore. Yeah.
Yes. I said that I had a friend of mine, Nilesh, that we used to say that to each other all the time when we used to cancel. It'd be like, boo hoo whore, click.
I actually say it. I used to say it a lot too, but I've kind of cut down on that one a lot because when Maddie's around, I don't want her to hear me saying boo whore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably not a good thing for a 6-year-old to hear on a regular basis.
One of the funny lines that I'm surprised I've said so much is like, sometimes when people are like, oh, I really wanted this, but it's sold out. And I'll say, you can always try Sears.
Sears doesn't exist anymore. My God. Yeah.
And they're always like, what? Like occasionally people are like, oh yeah, and they laugh.
I'm like, haha, so funny. Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's better than a lot of the references I make when I'm in public, because I reference some random things sometimes. People just look at me like, what? It's too much to explain. I'm just gonna walk away. It's fine. Just leave it. Leave it.
Tommy, I reference like 80s sitcoms all the time, like obscure episodes of 80s sitcoms. So clearly nobody will get it except for
It's your inside joke. As long as
Yeah.
you two get it, that's all that matters.
We love it. We love them.
They're great shows. What are you talking about? But I'm going to segue back to Madagascar because we were talking about the three-way calling. And I have to admit, one of the ingenious things in Madagascar is the scene when they wake up in the boxes on the ship.
Yes.
And it starts off with Alex, and then he starts hearing other people, and it's like, it's so good to hear your voice. And then the other box shows up, and the other box shows up, and they're you see how they are laid out together and all this kind of stuff. And there's just something about that scene that is both heartwarming and scary and very funny at the same time. Yeah. Because even after they come out the boxes, so like after they're talking, you see the outside of the boxes in the ship. And when Melman wakes up, he's like on his head and he's just like, oh, I love having a CAT scan or whatever. Yeah. But when they come out of the things, it says the giraffe this way up, but it's pointing downward. So like, no, they actually put the thing in there upside down. That's why.
Right. It's a really good detail. Yeah.
It's such a good detail. And like I was watching, just like, oh my God, they really do pay attention to these things. This is hilarious. And I loved it.
I did like that scene, the way it unfolded and everything. And I did feel like this is pretty terrifying. Like he's trapped in a box. It's like being buried alive. He doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then when they fall into the water and he's looking out and he's just floating, I was thinking that would be horrifying. It would be terrifying. Like he'd probably die, right?
Yeah.
It's a pretty dark moment. But yeah, I did like the way they handled it. I also found, just talking about Madagascar, it ends in a weird way.
Them going on their next adventure on a ship that has nothing.
Well, yeah, it ends with them believing they've been saved, and then the penguin saying, should we tell them? No. And it's ended.
Well, I think that's why they end up somewhere on the continent of Africa in the next movie, because they can't get that far, right?
But you know what? They wouldn't have, I guess they were counting on it, but I mean, if it wasn't a success, there would have been no sequels. Mm-hmm. So that would have just been the end of the story.
And to be honest, it's a strange place to end, that it was clearly set up for a sequel, but it was still like an ending. Like they told that story.
The ending of the story was really when Alex and Marty said, "I don't care where we are as long as we're together."
Yes.
And that was, I guess, the resolution of not Melman. It was Marty, like his wandering heart or whatever. Like he just realized home is where the heart is, where his friends are. So,
mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's pretty true, because like no matter how great your life are, if you're on the coast of Belize in a giant house and you're by yourself all the time and you have nothing to do.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of lame, to be honest.
Well, also I thought it was funny that the penguins were really dying to get to Antarctica, and they get there and there's just a scene with them in the snow, and then this sucks. And then that's the end of that goal.
At least they know. They figured it out real quick.
Yeah. The penguins are funny. I mean, they're always favorites because they're so funny. But I love that they turned them into like these mafia guys, but they are all kind of very self-aware. Cute and cuddly boys. Cute and cuddly.
That was great. They do throw a lot of like good stuff in there. But one thing, okay, so here comes another one of those questions that you can answer or try to answer, but it's one of those like cartoon movie things, right, where there's animals involved and all this kind of stuff, but they live in a world where they interact from a distance with humans, right? People can see them. He puts on a show, blah, blah, blah. And from these things, so like they stand up on like their hind legs and make like roaring sounds and, whatever, and jog and blah, blah, blah. And from this, because you can see people animating their movements, people are seeing them move that way, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But my question is, like, if they're seeing them move that way, then they'll realize they're relatively docile. And so like the scene in like Central Terminal, I'm just like, but it's Alex from the zoo. So
yeah, you're right. It's a suspension of disbelief. How come? And I guess it's partly like he's talking to them, but it's supposed to. I guess it's coming out like rah 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 are. Right. Like they have fans, and he's not actually like jumping up and burying his teeth. Like he's acting like a human.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I'm just like, because especially that scene, like, because he puts up his hand, like he's just like, hey, calm down, I'm not doing anything. And even if you can't understand what they're saying, that body language should be relatively understandable.
I agree.
So it's again, it's one of those things. So you're like, so wait, how much is actually understood by the people, or do the animals not understand that the people don't understand them? Or because like they keep trying to talk to them, and you're just like, but if you know the people don't understand you, why would you keep talking? Blah, blah, blah. And then my brain starts to spiral into these worlds, and I'm just like, but you've created all of these other problems. What are you talking about? You know?
It's true. I think you just like we said before, you just have to like draw the line to suspend your disbelief, because it's not all going to make sense.
Agreed. That's why I think if you have a world where a bunch of talking animals are talking, they should just be animals talking. There should be no humans, no people, because then you start thinking about these other things.
Right.
Yes.
And it's also funny that all the different interspecies can all understand each other.
Yes, which I also found, because to me, it would be like me going to China and somebody speaking Mandarin to me. That's what I would think the lion talking to me, talking to whatever it would be, but apparently not.
When they ended up on the island and they saw the lemurs, and then they were sort of taught like, our main heroes were all talking to each other, and the lemurs were all like acting like they didn't understand why they were here. I kind of thought, did the lemurs not understand the animals? But then they did. They just all understood each other. So it's like, I guess it's just animals understand each other.
Universal animal language?
I guess so. Makes me kind of want to watch Zootopia again, just to see if there's anything there. I guess there's no humans in Zootopia. It's literally
Zootopia and like the Sing movies.
There's
no people, but I'm always confused about like what they're eating in these worlds, because especially if you have like, you have a silverback gorilla hanging out with a pig, who's hanging out with a lizard, who's hanging out with an elephant.
Do they eat meat in these animal worlds?
Well, and that's the thing, right? Because there's like sheep and stuff. But now that I think about it, no, but there's bears. There are bears in Sing, and they try to eat the mouse. So maybe they do eat people. I don't know. But yeah. So, but when you start thinking about it too much, you're just like, how does this world work?
I bet the writers' rooms, though, because mostly these movies hang together very well. Like, I'm sure these conversations happen, and they say, "What are we deciding the rules of the world are?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I don't. I mean, because I think that's why they have them. Like, if they have scenes where the animals are eating, they're always eating things that are not animal related, right? Because even in like Zootopia, you see them eating donuts and popsicles, I think. Even though, one's a fox, you meet it like an otter, there's a lion and all that kind of stuff, but you never see them eating food things, and people only get scared of them when they go, as they say, like, what is it, rabid or feral or whatever they call it, when they start attacking other people, right? Or attacking other animals. But that also means there was a point in the evolution of their world and their society where that was still the case, as it is now, where like animals in the wild will attack each other, but they evolved past that, and then they de-evolve with this thing. You're just like,
which is sort of, I guess, Madagascar's issue with Alex, because Alex is a New Yorker lion, and then when he's in the wild, he starts to devolve.
But isn't that just because he's hungry and his like instincts kick in because he's hungry?
I guess so, but it's because he's in the wild and has no food to eat.
Yeah, and it takes him a few days to get there, but it's usually like as soon as he's like, no, I'm really hungry. And that's when that starts to kick in.
Yeah.
Because everybody else are vegetarians, and so they're eating grass and seaweed on sticks and fruits and stuff, and they're like, "This is fine." And he tries to eat that, and he's like, "What? I get it."
I thought that who voices Alex again? It was
Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller. I think he did a really good job.
It was great. I actually like all the voice acting in that. Like, I think they did a really good job. I'm not a huge fan of Sacha Baron Cohen, but I do love King Julian. I do
He
enjoy
is so funny in that, the way he mispronounces his words or whatever. It's just, yeah, that is a very well cast movie too. I did think it was weird that King Julian keeps trying to sacrifice Mort to save himself.
Well, I mean, he's obviously a selfish king.
Yes.
I did find out something though. So you know how on the island they keep talking about the Fusa. The Fusa is going to attack them. The Fusa is going to try to eat them. Blah, blah, blah. They're obviously like carnivorous animals, and I had always thought they were like hyenas or something. And Fusa was just like a funny word they were saying.
Right.
No, apparently on the island of Madagascar, there is a carnivorous animal called the Fossa, Fossa. And they are related to mongoose. But when I looked up a picture of it, I find they look like they have like the body of a puma and the face of a dog. I thought they were just really interesting looking. I don't know why I decided to look it up, but I was astonished that but then I was looking at the movie again. I was just like, oh, those do actually look like the fossa. That when I looked them up, I was like, that makes sense. Okay, right. I get it. Okay, because so they're being very like literal of the animals that would be on that island.
That's good. Yeah. They did some research. Mm-hmm. Well, when I saw the fossa, fusa, whatever, it was very reminiscent of the Lion King with the hyenas, and the hyenas are on the one side, and then all the rest of the animals are on the other side, and the hyenas try to eat people that come onto their side. So yeah, I thought that reminded me of the Lion King, but I did also think that scene where Alex saves his friends and then roars and roars and roars and says to the Fusa, Fossa, is it? They call them Fusa.
They call them Fusa. Maybe.
Yeah, but he kicks all the Fusa and says, "This is my island now. I never want to see you here again." Is that colonialism? He's kicking off the natives.
Yeah.
The New Yorker comes up and just kicks off all the natives from where they've been living.
Horrible, I tell you. Horrible. Yeah. I mean, I know he's trying to save his friends and stuff, but you're also committing genocide?
Yeah, where are they going to eat?
Yeah, there's nothing over there. It's a barren, dry land. There's not even plants. Like, what's going to happen? So maybe they'll learn how to fish on the other side. It is an island after all.
They'll become vegetarians.
Yes. So yeah, no, it's true. I think it goes back to like somebody made a comment about like watching National Geographic and stuff, and how like it depends on like the episode of the show what side you're on, like who you're cheering for. So like sometimes like they're following a pride of lions, and like when a lion takes down that zebra or the impala or something, you're like, yeah, you did it. You're gonna feed your family. But if you're watching the show and they're following the zebra and the lion's attacking, you're just like, run for your life. How could you do this? But it's true. It's true. So like it depends who your friend is. But even if they're meat eaters, they gotta eat, because I mean we eat meat.
Yeah.
I don't know the animals, but I'm eating, but
But that's the thing too. When so Maddie really likes to watch the show Wild Kratts, and they always talk about different. It's basically a cartoon about animals. Okay. And the two characters are these two real life men, but they make in cartoon form, and they just sort of always explore different animals and see what they do. But they always say there's no evil animals, there's no bad animals. It's all nature. Like if one animal kills another animal, it's just the cycle of life. Like this is how the animal eats. Like they always try to make a point that these animals aren't villains. Mm-hmm. That they've killed another animal, because that's just their nature, and that's just what nature does. So I think that's a really interesting lesson for a cartoon. And so Maddie always says that too. Like he goes, there's no bad animals, they're just living to eat, they're just trying to survive. All right. Mm-hmm. So when we watch a movie like this, all the carnivores are often very villainized because they're killing the other animals, but really that's not a good lesson in terms of understanding nature.
They are not like trying to show, the animal kingdom. They're just sort of, what do they call it when they make humanoid versions of animals again?
Yeah, they're
just reflecting our society in an animal form to make it easier for people to take.
Literally.
Yeah, and I mean, I think sometimes that kind of thing can be hard for kids, because I mean, you're seeing these animals and you're just like, no, I don't want these animals to die. I get it. But as you get older, you have to understand, you're just like, you know, that piece of beef that's in the grocery store? That's an animal. Mm-hmm.
We actually did have that talk with her at some point, and there was a brief moment where she wanted to be vegetarian, but it didn't last.
Okay, well, that happens. They say something like 90% of vegetarians revert back to eating meat at some point.
It's hard to not eat meat.
Mm-hmm. Or at least some sort of meat. Like, even if you're not eating like a whole turkey every day or anything, like every once in a while, you're just like, I need a little bit of protein. I'll have a slice of something on something. And that's fine.
You need the protein, you need some iron. You need some of the things.
Yes, you do. I mean, until they figure out a way to do it better, where I'm not eating half a forest every day to get all my nutrients.
I know. Well, eat meat. Well, Tommy and I tried to be vegan, not even just vegetarian. Remember, like we tried to be vegan, and it lasted 6 weeks, which is a pretty long time. But
so very long time, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, and we gave it up because it was we just didn't want to do it anymore.
Well, my thing is, I don't think I could give up things like chocolate or ice cream, and they're usually made, or cheese. Oh my God, cheese!
Yeah, that's what the most. Cheese was the difficult thing for me.
Yeah, because I could definitely do a vegetarian diet for a while, but to make, like, if I'd want to make like a bread, I need an egg, like, you know, or you know, I want to make a salad. I'm gonna put cheese on that salad, like, you gotta have all the things.
And vegan cheese does not taste good. No,
I don't care what anybody says. They're like, it tastes the same. You can't even tell. Oh, yes, you can.
It really does not taste the same.
Yes, you can. It's like, you're crazy. What are you talking about? And then there's like the raw diets, which I just don't understand. Like, you just
I don't understand it either.
That's also not cooking. It's putting some stuff in a bowl and then eating it. Like,
although, I mean, you know, if you make a ceviche, or like, there's ways to prepare raw food to make it more palatable or to cure it or whatever, like various things. So there's some process, but there's a lot of danger in raw foods as well if you're not careful about where you source your things or how you make it, like
how you store and prepare it. Yeah. It can be difficult. You can get real sick real quickly. I know that whole thing. But as a person who selectively has ceviche in very specific places, ceviche is delicious.
It is delicious. I also really like sushi, and I also really like beef tartare.
No, I don't like beef tartare.
Oh my God, it's so good.
I find the texture and the flavor just does not work for me.
Okay, that's definitely not for everybody.
Yeah, that's one I can't agree with.
I feel like I have to go and eat something now.
We started talking about food.
Somehow it all came back to food.
You know why? Because food is great, and food is the thing that brings us all together.
It does bring us all together.
Yes.
Music and food.
Yes. You know. Yeah, I don't understand people who don't like music or who don't get it.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't make sense.
Music should really speak to people, though, on a more, not a spiritual level, but on an almost instinctual level. Like, you just know what music makes you feel something.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I'm not saying you have to have like a specific type of music. Like, if you want to listen to Gregorian chants and that's your thing, go right ahead. Exactly. I am fine with that. If you want to listen to Beyonce, Turn All the Way Up, it's fine. If you're an ICP person, go ahead. That is fine. But there are people who like to sit around in silence constantly and just like, I don't listen to music. You make no sense to me.
It doesn't. Have you watched the new season of Stranger Things?
I have. Yes, I have. And people are up at people who were originally fans of what's her name? The woman who sings the song that saves that one girl. Kate Bush are just like, we've loved her for years, and now you guys are like jumping on the bandwagon. Like,
but it's amazing. This is a bandwagon like decades after
the making. Yeah. Because it's a great song. I've known about this song, of course, for years and years. As soon as they played the first notes, I'm like, oh, I like this song. And
it's a genius. It's literally one of the best cases of sync I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's like the perfect song. Even like the intensity of the song and come on, darling, let me, like, and just like it's like encouraging her to come on and outrun and let me take this moment from you. Like the lyrics, the emotion of the song, it's just a
scene
perfect,
they put together with it. Yeah, it's fantastic. And like, but I find it's another idea of like gatekeeping, you know, which it seems to be very prevalent right now, which frustrates me. Like even with like Star Wars, and everybody's all mad because there's a black inquisitor and they're like, the haters, why is there black people here? Just like, what the fuck is your problem?
Well, anyway, I mean, that's just toxic fandoms. Like, I mean, the Star Wars fandom is awful. Right?
They're not the only ones, yeah.
But all like, I mean, I hate to say this, but the white males that feel like they own Star Wars, they own Ghostbusters, and they own
Star Trek too.
All women that dare try to take over their beloved movies. I hate those people. Like it's terrible. It's terrible.
But also, if you have watched any of those movies, you think that, you've obviously missed the point of all of these movies. So, like, you don't belong there anyways. What are you talking about?
That's an excellent point.
Yeah, because a lot of those movies and stuff are about the people who are on the outsider coming into a space and being like, look, this space is for all of us, and I'm going to make it for all of us, and we are going to save the day.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then, but if your thing about the space is that somebody should be excluded, then you're going opposite to the heroes of that you hold so high. Like you're doing it wrong.
It makes no sense, right? Like,
it makes no sense.
Yeah, there's no explaining it. It's just.
Mm-hmm. Or like, there's like a Christian group now who's complaining about Miss Marvel because Kamala's like Muslim and stuff. Or like, Marvel's gone too far. It's gone all Muslim. I'm just like, but the whole thing about X-Men is about being the other and a group of the other fighting to belong. That's the whole point. Yeah. How can you hate this? Like, what is wrong with you?
But it's not a shock. Look at the rise of white supremacy in America. Like, I mean, it's become acceptable almost there, right? Like the entire Republican Party is basically fueled on white supremacy. Let's just say it, right? Like,
yeah, it's true.
So like half that country is that way and feeling more empowered than they ever have in their life. Mm-hmm. So,
and all the people who have been hiding it and being like, no, I'm actually supporting you guys. Now they're feeling like, oh no, I don't have to pretend anymore. And they're just
So of course they're going to come after any kind of representation.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's sad that they're going so backwards. But I think I am not condoning this in any way, shape, or form. But I think this goes back to our connected worlds and our connected society where like North America used to make fun of like Japan and China for this because they were like xenophobic and wanted to protect their culture. And I think now it's finally hit North America and like the quote unquote Western worlds where there's like, no, we're trying to protect something here. And I'm like, but you actually live in a place that was already made out of people from everywhere. So what are you protecting? What are you actually doing? You can't, be xenophobic because everything here is an alien. Everything here is from somewhere else.
But I don't think this is new. I don't think it's just come to North America. Like it's always been this way. It's just that we're finally getting to a point where we're shining a light on a structure that really benefits white people as a given. And, it's hard for people to criticize a structure that benefits them.
Yes, it's very true. You're like, no, this structure is good because I'm good. And I think this goes back to our early discussion about being in a room that you're comfortable in and not wanting to go outside of it. Yeah. It comes all the way back around,
Yeah. But, fortunately, there's so many people that are realizing that that's not true. Like, we should make changes. We have to make changes.
Mm-hmm. And just because things are good for you doesn't mean it's good for everyone else. And, you should, instead of making things only good for you, why don't you things can be good for you and good for other people? Like, what is wrong with doing
for you, but you need to do that to help it be better for other people. Like,
that's what being part of a society, or not even a society, a civilization is supposed to be about, right? And people are just like, oh, it's what is it, socialism or whatever? You're like, just because you care about the well-being of others doesn't mean we're gonna fall into this like weird bucket. That's not what's happening.
No. And like, they weaponize that type of liberal thought with calling it, oh, you know, libtards, or you're woke, and now woke is an insult. It just means that you care about other people. And I the comments I've seen online for various things is just so infuriating. Anyway, it's very sad. The state of the world right now is very sad. It's just hard to even.
It's not even. It's just frustrating. I think for both of us, for people who are quote unquote minorities,
we're people of color.
We're people of color, and to see things seem to be, again, de-evolving into a place where we thought progress was happening, and now it's going backwards, and we're just like, oh, I gotta go through this shit again. Like, come on.
But it's hard to believe how much progress we've lost, and for women too. Like, I can't believe they basically turned back Roe v. Wade. I know that they're going to start coming after gay marriage in the States. That's just a matter of time, given what's happened.
Yeah, and that is extremely scary because, if that hits Canada, and conservatives are picking up steam in Canada too, and some of their platforms are on the same thing, and you're just like, holy shit.
It is scary. That's why, I mean, it's almost, we almost need to be more political than we ever have before, because politics is in every single thing now.
And I can talk about politics and stuff like this, and my friend yelled at me the other day about this, but I do not participate in politics. I don't know if this is this is an un-PC thing to say. But no, I did not vote this year.
You need to vote, though.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. People that, although if people that have a point of view don't participate in the process, then it's hard to make change, right? Like, I understand it. But I think I have the same problem that keeps a lot of people from voting, is that there is nobody out there that represents me. There's nobody out there, but then people are just like, well, you have to pick the lesser of two evils, somebody who might at least try to do something. And just like, but who exactly is that going to be? And I know this is a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. I get it. You're allowed to be disappointed in me for saying this. I am disappointed in you.
And that's fine. But like, my friend, all she did was yell at me, but you're a Black woman. And I'm like, that's not an answer to the question. That's not a solution to the problem.
It's not fair. Honestly, I think it's equally important for everybody to vote, regardless of the color of your skin or who you're from or whatever. But I will say, like, from the perspective of a person of color who's also gay, like, I mean, I feel like I do have not more skin in the game, but I mean, to your average white heterosexual, most laws are fine, right? Like, they are going to be fine. It doesn't really matter. Like, there's less stakes for them. I feel like for someone who has not always had rights that straight white people have always enjoyed, I can't take it for granted that we won certain rights that could be taken away. And so
that makes sense. Yeah.
It means that I do have to care a little bit more, unfortunately.
As a Black woman, I should care more, but I'm a horrible participation. Yeah.
It's an exhausting thing to process a lot of that information, but I do think it's an important thing to do, though. I'm teaching Maddie that it's a very important process to be part of, because like, without the buy-in and people participating, it's, I don't want to, certain groups will mobilize and take over, and they're not always in our interests. And sometimes they're actively against our interests. And so, because everybody has a different perspective. So the only way to keep that in check is to be part of that process.
I get it.
That's my pitch. But
well, maybe next time I'll get out there and do some voting.
You should. And if you, we could even call me and we can talk about the candidates and things if you find it hard to cut through, because there's so much noise.
There is a lot of noise.
Yeah.
There's a lot of noise. And I think maybe that's the problem. Like, for like especially like my parents' generations before, you didn't talk politics. You didn't discuss politics with maybe with your partner, very nicely and quietly, or else you'd there's yelling and screaming, but you definitely didn't talk to like your friends about it. You didn't talk to your parents about it. You didn't have those, you don't have political discussions. Like that was a crazy concept. But now, it's becoming important to talk politics with other people to help make decisions and to help cut through noise and to get information and all this kind of stuff. And I think maybe that's part of my problem, is that I don't have anybody to discuss this with. And then, my friends complain that I didn't vote, but I'm like, well, we could have sat down and talked about it, but we didn't say anything. You didn't do anything. You told me tomorrow was voting day. And I was just like, we're voting tomorrow? What? It was a whole thing. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I know I'm making excuses for myself at this point. I get it. And I understand. I need to try harder and go out and do this. But I think it's one of those things where I need to talk about it, but I still don't think people are ready to have a discussion. They're ready to yell and scream about it.
Have a conversation, and I will not yell at you.
Okay, good.
Because I'm not by nature very political. Like I feel like I am now, but I mean, I haven't always been that engaged politically, and a lot of my friends that have known me from university would be frustrated with me because I disengaged a bit. Mm-hmm. But I would actually always vote just because I did want to be in the process. But when I felt overwhelmed, sometimes I just rely on people whose opinions I trusted and get them to explain it to me, like why they wanted to vote for who they wanted. And just, I would Google or whatever, like what the platform, like just explainers, just because it was sort of very basic way of learning about it before getting into the weeds. Mm-hmm. But even that was sort of something that I think that's even not a bad thing. Like even just talk to friends that maybe know more about it, that can synthesize it for you and just explain why why are you voting that way? Like, what is it about the party that you like, or what is it about this party you don't like? And just collect opinions. I'm not saying get someone to tell you who to vote for, but you can, if it's overwhelming all the other stuff, just sort of people you trust and people that you just have the conversation, just get a little bit of even anecdotal information. Then you can, add to that some research with just over very summary kind of things. And then I find that once you kind of get into that a bit, and then when things come up, it's easier to get into the weeds once you have a bit of a head start.
Like you have I think like the internet and with anything else right now, like when doing research, you have to have sort of a point you're trying to find, or else you're just going to get lost in this sea of stuff.
But it's also the internet. It's so you also have to consider the source, right? Because all articles are now very obviously biased. And so, you're not really getting neutral news anytime, right?
No, it's not because even, you could search something on Google, but you're getting things specifically for people in Canada and Ontario, but based on your history of searches, you're actually looking for this and they'll actually bring up this information and blah, blah, blah. Because if you search the same thing on 3 different computers, you're getting different information back. Which can be helpful and frustrating at the same time.
Yeah.
And I have to start clicking on page 2 of my Google search results.
Yes.
I always get down to the bottom of that first page. And I'm just like, that's enough. Or rejigger my search to get something else, it's one of those things. I never click on that page 2. It's just like, what? That's too far.
Find some sites that you feel like the writers reflect your values, or you feel like you can trust, or and then get to know the different points of view as well. And then you can go to some places that you feel like you can.
But you've also already said something that frustrates me is I don't want to find a writer that supports my point of view. I want especially with politics and stuff, I want somebody who's neutral. He's here are the facts. This guy was born this day.
But you can find a million of those things that are quite neutral, just the facts, like charts, these are the platforms, this is where they differ. There's a lot of those, right? But what I say is finding writers is, I'm just saying to cut through them, it doesn't hurt to find people that can explain it to you in a voice that you trust and that you understand, just so that you become more acclimatized to the topics and, the concepts. And then, you can find a million of those things that are quite neutral, just the facts, like, these are the platforms, this is where they differ. There's a lot of those, right? But what I'm saying is finding writers is, I'm just saying to cut through them, it doesn't hurt to find people that can explain it to you in a voice that you trust and that you understand, just so that you become more acclimatized to the topics and then you can kind of branch out and read other things. Like it's just like something, to start.
To start, yes. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Yes, I will definitely have to do that. And you'll probably hold me to it. I'll get a couple goals like,
I am going
Tracy, do you know what's going to happen? You're like, all right.
Best believe I am.
Here we go. But, coming back to people learning to talk to each other at the end of Mean Girls, they figure it out. They're just true. Just be honest. Just say what you got to say. Do what you got to do. Don't talk behind people's backs. And just fucking relax. Just get on with your life.
And learn to coexist.
Yes. Right? Yeah. I mean, my problem with people who don't know how to coexist is the fact that either they have no respect for your space or they want to take your space. Those are the two things. And you're just why? That's just effort.
I just read this Texas senator actually said he's hoping for a world where all gays are exterminated. Oh, you can imagine how that makes me feel. I mean, the fact that something like this is getting that kind of attention and not getting a ton of pushback, right? That's a horrible feeling.
I think anybody who thinks anybody should be exterminated should not be a politician.
No. Should
not be in charge of anything. You're allowed to be a troll on the internet so that you can be ignored. But just no. That is no. Yeah. That is unacceptable.
It's really disturbing. Mm-hmm. And it's anyway, I feel like movies like Mean Girls do a fairly good job of sort of breaking down some larger kind of problems and issues and boiling them down into a comedy and sort of a microcosm in a high school world where, you can watch it for a laugh, but there are some important lessons that are sort of in there embedded.
Yeah, it makes it very palatable. And I think, I also think that's a problem with some comedy right now is that the point of comedy is to make us laugh and to make us, sometimes they make you uncomfortable laugh, but But it's to make us laugh. It's to make us relax, to make us have a good time. But I find a lot of comedy specials right now and stand-up is just people yelling things at us, telling us we're bad. And we're like, and then I went to the grocery store and I had an orange. And you're like, haha. You're like, is it funny though? I don't think it's funny anymore. It's hard. It's just so hard. The comedy has gotten too cynical that it can't see its own funniness,
But I think the world has gotten really dark just because of all the things that have happened. So comedy always responds in a way to society, and I feel like it's not a surprise to me in a way. The world has gotten really dark. Yeah. And,
I guess with these two movies, the early 2000s were, now that we look back at it, weren't too bad.
Those were good times.
Definitely compared to now, and these two movies definitely show they're bright, they're colorful, everything has a happy ending, everybody's friends,
and hopeful, and they've learned some lessons, and they went to some difficult areas, but they emerged.
There's some good music. It's good.
It was good. I mean, I enjoy watching them again, so it was fun to do. We got really serious. We kind of talked a lot about a lot of different things today, but
but that's the thing. I think these two movies actually bring up a lot of these topics.
I agree.
And it's Madagascar, it's a little kids movie, blah blah blah. What's there to talk about? I'm just but there's so much.
There really was.
Yeah, there's a lot, and honestly, until I watched Mean Girls after watching this, like you, I didn't realize that the two movies had so much in common.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there watching this, I'm like, I'm glad these two are together. This actually works really well.
It really does. I know.
Yeah.
In both thematic, subtle, and overt ways. It was quite something.
Yeah. I was very intrigued by it.
Well, I'm very happy I got this episode, so thank you for that.
You're very welcome. Did you talk enough about Mean Girls?
I feel like I didn't because we went to other topics. That's okay. I feel like we talked about it enough. We did. Yeah.
Okay. So I know we sort of did it just now, but what are your final thoughts on these two movies?
Well, I guess I would say I mean, I've always loved Mean Girls, like since the day I first saw it, and I have not changed my opinion. And I feel like in a lot of ways, even though, some of the humor might not always translate, there might be some things that maybe are a little questionable now. I think overall the movie really holds up. I still really believe in the message. I like the way it's told. I like the way they resolve things. And I do think it's a really healthy and good movie, and it's still hilarious. And I just think it's great. And Madagascar, I think, exceeded my memory of it because I had watched it with my daughter and really put it on just as a way to entertain her. But watching it again, I just sort of saw so many other layers that actually had some things to say. So, yeah, I would say they're both worth watching again. And I think that they both stood the test of time.
Great. And you think like Madagascar, especially, you still think is good for kids?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. Like, I think there's enough silliness and colorfulness in it that and the story is told well. Like, I find like kids now are savvy because of the content that we give them is so much better written now than when we were kids. So like, I think even with this aging, it's like, it's written at a certain level that it's not too dumb for older kids, but it's also not too savvy for younger kids, so they can, from like 5 to 12, they'll love it. And then when you hit like 25, you're just like, oh, I see the adult things. I get it. This is great. Yes.
Totally. Like there's so many layers to that. And I mean, even the scary, like I think the nice message, even when the kid's really young, is just stand by your friends, even if they're not being nice to you right now, or if you really believe in your friend, you can try to help them.
Yeah, it's like the thing now is just like somebody out there's always having a bad day, be nice to them, right? And I think when you have good friends like Marty is to Alex, Marty realizes there's something wrong with Alex, and instead of abandoning him, he made sure he was like, I'm your friend, I'm going to stay here and help you and get you through this.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's what you got to do.
Yeah. For sure, especially in dark times like now.
We all need those good friends.
Yes, we do.
You're going to get me through this, Austin. You're going to do it. You're gonna do it.
I'm here for you. I'm so glad that we're friends.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I always have a fabulous chat when you're on here, so it's great.
Thank you. I same. I always enjoy these chats. Always enjoy coming on. Thank you so much.
Thanks. I like one thing, we always get serious at some points in the episode, but we always bring it back with a little bit of humor at the end. We're so good. We're pros at this now.
We are pros, exactly.
Well, that's it for this episode of Off My Shelf. Until next time, you can follow along on Instagram at Twitter at ohmyshelf, or you can send an email to ohmyshelf@gmail.com. On the next episode, we'll be talking about Magnolia and mall rats. Another interesting combination. We'll see what happens in there. Well, hope you'll be here to listen.